Have you ever heard of a Greek king who became a Buddhist sage, ruling a vast empire from the heart of India? This isn't a myth or a legend. It is the incredible true story of a man whose legacy is etched in both Western and Eastern history. Imagine a powerful European ruler, born thousands of miles away, who not only conquered a piece of India, but was also conquered by its profound philosophy. His dialogues with a Buddhist monk became so legendary that they were recorded in a sacred text, still read by millions today. Who was this enigmatic king? How did a descendant of Alexander the Great's army end up debating the nature of the self and karma on the plains of Punjab? Get ready, because we're about to journey back over 2,000 years to uncover the life of Menander I, the Greek king of India, also known as Milinda. His story is one of conquest, culture, and a spiritual quest that bridges two different worlds. You might think you know history, but this tale will challenge everything you thought possible. Menander was born around 200 BCE in a village called Kalasi, nestled near Alexandria on the Caucasus, which is modern-day Bagram, in Afghanistan. This region was the easternmost frontier of the Hellenistic world, a vibrant melting pot where Greek culture met the ancient traditions of Central Asia. His father was a king, so from his earliest days, Menander was groomed for leadership. He grew up surrounded by the echoes of Alexander the Great's conquests. The soldiers, administrators, and artists in his kingdom were a mix of Greeks and locals, creating a unique Greco-Bactrian society. Young Menander would have been educated in the Greek tradition, learning philosophy from Plato's and Aristotle's texts, studying military strategy, and training in the arts of rhetoric and governance. But living on the doorstep of India, he was also exposed to the diverse beliefs and ideas flowing from the subcontinent. This dual upbringing was the crucible that forged the man he would become, a brilliant military strategist with an insatiably curious mind. It was this unique combination of Western logic and an openness to Eastern wisdom that would define his reign and his legacy. Around 165 BCE, a significant power shift occurred. The ambitious Greco-Bactrian king Eucratides overthrew Menander's dynasty in Bactria. This event, which could have been a devastating blow, instead became the catalyst for Menander's destiny. Forced to look south, he turned his full attention towards India. He established his capital at Sagala, a city described in ancient texts as a paradise of prosperity and learning. Today, most scholars identify Sagala with modern Sialkot in Pakistan. From this new base of power, Menander began a series of military campaigns that would expand his territory into a massive Indo-Greek empire. He wasn't just reclaiming lost glory, he was building something entirely new. His armies marched east, following the rivers of the Punjab. Ancient sources, both Greek and Indian, tell of his incredible success. The geographer Strabo mentioned that Menander conquered more tribes than Alexander the Great. He pushed his dominion eastwards along the Gangetic plain, reaching as far as Pataliputra, the capital of the powerful Shunga Empire. Imagine the scene: Greek phalanxes and Indian war elephants clashing on the battlefield, a spectacle of two worlds colliding. Menander's conquests weren't just about brute force. They were strategic masterpieces that secured a kingdom stretching from Afghanistan through Punjab, and possibly even deeper into the Indian heartland. With his empire established, Menander I became one of the most powerful rulers of his time. His capital, Sagala, flourished under his reign. The Milinda Panha, the text that immortalized him, paints a vivid picture of the city. It describes a bustling metropolis with magnificent parks, gardens, and lakes, defended by strong walls and ramparts. The markets were filled with goods from all over the known world: silks from China, spices from the south, and crafts from the Hellenistic west. This economic prosperity was built on a foundation of political stability. Menander was known not just as a conqueror, but as a just and benevolent ruler. He minted a vast and impressive range of coinage, which has been found all across northern India. These coins are a testament to his long and successful reign. They are unique because they were bilingual, with Greek legends on one side and Indian Kharosthi script on the other. This showed immense respect for his local subjects, and was a brilliant tool for integrating his diverse population. The coins often depicted him as a young, athletic king, sometimes with a spear, but they also featured Buddhist symbols like the Dharma wheel. This tells us that from the very beginning, Menander was not just a foreign ruler imposing his will. He was a king who was actively engaging with, and being influenced by, the culture of his new home. The most fascinating chapter of Menander's life, however, wasn't fought on the battlefield, but in the realm of ideas. The Milinda Panha, or The Questions of King Milinda, is an extraordinary document that records a series of conversations between King Menander and a Buddhist sage named Nagasena. The text begins with Menander, portrayed as a brilliant debater, confident in his Greek philosophical training, seeking out wise men to challenge. After besting many, he finally meets his match in Nagasena. The king approaches the monk with a barrage of tough questions about Buddhist doctrine. What is the nature of the self? How does rebirth work if there is no permanent soul? Why do good people suffer? These weren't simple queries. They were profound philosophical challenges. One of the most famous analogies from their dialogue is the chariot sitting. Menander asks Nagasena his name, and when the monk replies, he says Nagasena is just a designation. There's no permanent person behind it. The king, confused, asks, if there's no person, who wears the robes? Who eats? Who meditates? Nagasena then turns the question back on the king, asking him about his chariot. Is the pole the chariot? Are the wheels the chariot? Is the axle the chariot? The king answers no to each question. Nagasena then concludes that chariot is simply a name given to a collection of parts. In the same way, Nagasena is a name for a collection of physical and mental components, with no permanent, unchanging self within. This dialogue had a profound impact on Menander. According to the text, the king was so impressed by Nagasena's wisdom and clarity that he became a lay disciple of Buddhism. This was a monumental moment. A Greek king, a product of a culture that celebrated individualism and the immortal soul, embraced a philosophy centered on non-self and impermanence. The Milinda Panha concludes with the king handing over his kingdom to his son and retiring from the world to become an arhita, fully enlightened being. While this part might be a pious addition to the text, the core of the story, his patronage of Buddhism, is supported by archaeological evidence. The coins cemented after this period frequently featured the Buddhist wheel of law, a clear sign of his royal patronage. Menander's conversion wasn't just a personal journey, it had a massive cultural impact. Under his rule, Buddhism flourished. He sponsored the construction of monasteries and stupas, and his kingdom became a safe haven for Buddhists, protecting them from persecution by other rulers. His reign is remembered as a golden age for Buddhism in the region, fostering a unique, Greco-Buddhist culture that would later give rise to the famous Gandharan art style, a fusion of Greek realism and Buddhist themes. Menander's reign was long and prosperous, lasting for several decades. He passed away around 130 BC. The manner of his death is as remarkable as his life. According to the Greek historian Plutarch, Menander died in a military camp during a campaign. What happened next was extraordinary. Plutarch writes that his subjects held his funeral with great honor, but then the various cities of his kingdom disputed over his ashes. Eventually, they agreed to divide his remains equally amongst them, and each city built monuments, or stupas, to enshrine their portion. This practice was typically reserved for the Buddha himself and the most revered Buddhist saints. For a king, and a foreign-born one at that, to be honored in such a way speaks volumes about the love and respect his people had for him. He was no longer seen as a Greek invader, but as their own righteous king, a Dhamaraji. His legacy endured long after his death. The Indo-Greek Kingdom continued for another century, but none of his successors matched his greatness. However, his influence was indelible. He had successfully created a bridge between two great civilizations. He showed that a ruler could embrace a new culture and faith without abandoning his own heritage, creating something richer and more vibrant in the process. So, who was Menander? He was a Greek general who became an Indian emperor. He was a philosopher king, in the Platonic ideal, who found his ultimate truth in the teachings of the Buddha. He was a master of logistics and a seeker of enlightenment. His story is a powerful reminder that history is not a simple narrative of conquest and conflict, but a complex tapestry woven from threads of cultural exchange, intellectual curiosity, and shared humanity. The coins he left behind, scattered across India and Afghanistan, are more than just ancient currency. They are small, metal monuments to a king who dared to look beyond the borders of his own world and found wisdom in another. The questions he asked Nagasena over 2 millennia ago still resonate today, inviting us all to question our own assumptions about life, the self, and the nature of reality. Menander, the Greek king of India, remains one of history's most compelling figures, a true symbol of the enduring power of dialogue and understanding between cultures. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you found the story of Menander as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten history. Let me know in the comments what you think about this incredible king. Until next time, stay curious.